Okay, read AI. Okay. Okay, Alex.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. My computer froze when the message about the meeting being recorded came up, and I'm not really sure what it's doing right now. It's not it doesn't seem to be functioning at the proper speed.
I feel like, okay, let me go deny. I feel like I'm also experimenting the recording, like the meeting notes. It's actually the first time I'm like using it. So there are like people, like I see Gianna's auto recording. I'm like, I'm gonna record this meeting and hopefully it will send me, notes and things, and maybe I'll share it later. Is that good? Okay. Okay. So we should have 7, including me, show up for today. Okay. All right. Good morning, good afternoon. So that's give a few minutes for people to trickle in. Okay. Hello, hello.
Good morning or
Good
afternoon.
morning. Good afternoon. Change my audio. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, that's when Alex come back. I think I want to start. Like usually for my own coaching sessions, I start right on time because like being on time is a very important value of mine, and I feel like that's kind of like the best use of people's time. So the early comers don't actually get penalized, which happened to me all the time. So once Alex is back, we will start. Okay. And it's funny because I'm like, oh, we're not doing small talk. We might be a bunch of introverts. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but to me, I actually feel most comfortable with people. I don't feel like I have to say something. Yeah.
Of
So
course, yes.
I'm perfectly okay, just be here. Great. Alex, are you back?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I don't see your video yet.
Haven't had a chance to turn that back on. I needed to get up to take care of getting a different set of headphones for my phone. So I will be on video in just a moment.
Okay, great. All right. So I want to get started. And because this video is recorded, which I think is perfect, you all can like review it later. Also for people who might join late, and I know one person actually cannot join this session, but she committed to watch the recording and join the WhatsApp group with us. So and before that, I guess we only have 5 people here. Are you all open to move our next session, which is on April 9th, from Tuesday to Thursday at the same time? Because I'm trying to get that last person in live. Does that work for you? Okay, if that works, let me know. And I'm gonna move it. So from next session from April 9th to 11th.
Okay.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, Alex?
Yes, that should work for me.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna move it right now. Okay, so that will work. Awesome. And so we are a bunch of introverts. Who is not introvert here? Just like show hands. That's fine too. No, okay, so we're good. Okay, so I hear we're going to share this space, and I really applaud all of you to say yes, because I know like a meeting, right? I need more confidence, even like publicly. It takes a lot of courage. So I want you all to, really acknowledge yourself for showing up here, because that's something, right? To be able to receive help, that's something. And I want to also get to know you all better. So, we are in an environment where we kind of feel like we know a little bit about each other. So, and for people who are watching the recording, but on WhatsApp group, I also want you to share either voice message or video message about these 4 things. Let's see. Okay. And okay. Habit. Okay. Name when I'm most confident, when I'm least confident, and what is it that I want the most right now? Okay. So I will start. My name is Wen. When I'm most confident is when I feel the sense of unconditional love. Like I can be eating ice cream, but not beating myself up and still feel good about myself. I feel like that's when I'm most confident. And when I'm least confident is when I let like stories, or I should say when I interpreted stories. So like people don't show up, people don't respond to my message or email, things like that. I interpreted them as rejection or something to prove that I'm not worthy. So that's when I feel the least confident. And what is it that I want the most right now? I want to get my coaching practice to be full. Right now, I'm a little bit more than half full, because I love creation. I love create with people, and yeah, that's the goal that I'm focusing on right now. So there you go. Who wants to go next?
I can.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Shannon. And when I feel the most confident is when I have an opportunity to share knowledge that I've acquired or experienced with other people. I love doing that and I feel really in my element. I'm a knowledge seeker, constantly learning, and I have to know, when I feel the least confident is when I find myself in situations that I don't have a lot of knowledge in, obviously. you know, I know that's kind of straightforward, and maybe everybody kind of feels the same way, but you know, I think there's some people out there who can really wing it. Or just confident to go in and do something, even if they don't have all the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I find difficulty doing that. Like
Mhm.
I really, I love knowing what I'm getting into, and or I love being able to go in and demonstrate what I know.
Mm.
So what it is I want the most right now is I want a client for my new business I just recently launched. And yeah, that's the one thing I want the most right now. It would really show me that all the hard work that I put in, the support I've given to other people, all the networking I have put in has finally paid off.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you. I remember signing my first clients. All of a sudden, everything is real, right? I hear you. Thank you for being the first one, Shan. Who want to go next?
I can go
I
next.
can go next. Oh,
Oh.
you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So I'm going to do it in reverse order. What I feel is that my confidence is linked to other people. And so what I want right now is to have an internal sense of personal strength that is not swayed by other people. So I feel confident when I'm in a non-judgmental space with other people that I love and I know who love me. Or like if I'm protecting my dog, like I have no problem like being really direct with that. But if I'm in a new space, I don't feel like I'm 100% an expert in my field. I'm not sure about the judgment that's happening. I feel super unconfident.
I see. Thank you. Great clarity.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I would say, so similar messaging to what we just heard. I would say I'm most confident when I feel prepared, and like I am, you know, more in control of how I'm showing up. And I would say I'm less confident when faced sort of with the unknown. And when I am in situations that I just don't know how people are showing up, I don't know what they're expecting and that kind of thing. And I would say what I want most now is also sort of that internal sense of confidence. I think, so I am a job seeker, and I think one of the things about being a job seeker is that it is sort of a process that's built to bring down your confidence. So I'm trying to, you know, take back some of that and rebuild the confidence in myself.
Yeah. Thank you. Jenna?
Yeah, I can go. And I was reflecting on this, and I have similar feelings to those who have introduced so far. So my name is Gianna, and I think I'll start in kind of the same place as someone else did with thinking about like, why am I not confident? And I do think it goes back to childhood type issues, you know, parents saying, why'd you do that? That was stupid, you know, don't do that again. And also, you know, past work issues, like in the environment being told, don't say something unless you're sure about it. Are you 100% confident in what you're saying? And it's like, well, there's always some chance, like, that I could be wrong. Or being told, you know, be careful when you talk to people because, you know, they're very disarming. Don't let your guard down. So I think that now affects me in when I'm least confident. It's when there's lots of people around, when I feel like someone's senior to me, if I can't make a mistake, and I have to be 100% sure before I say something.
Got it.
So When I'm most confident is then the opposite. If there's few people around, like no one to question me, if it's not factual info, like I'm sharing like experiences or stories, something that someone can't correct me on. And now I am looking for a job. I'm out of work. And like tonight I'm going to a networking event. And I'm trying to find every excuse not to go. You know, I get that feeling like if someone wanted to talk to me, they would, or I shouldn't always have to make the first, you know, initiation or something, or if they wanted to respond, they would. So really lots of confidence issues in me having to follow up, you know, ask again, those type of things.
Great. And what do you want the most right now?
I want to feel comfortable networking, and not be anxious about it for so many days or dreading it. And feel like there's other reasons why people either don't respond or, you know, there's good reasons I should follow up. Things like that.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Jitania, are you able to talk or show your video? If you are talking, we cannot hear you. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, continue without you. Okay. All right. So for this workshop, I'm actually going to share a few stories with you, and I shared them, each of them, with great intention. And in between, especially by the end of stories, if you have questions, issues, or even pushback, or how do I X, Y, and Z, you know, if you want to talk about it live, raise your hand, you know, we will go there right away. And if you feel like, okay, that's okay, you know, I can leave in the end. Once I finish sharing those 3 stories, the rest is kind of open up for opportunity to be coached, probably on the questions or issues that you have. And then the last like 5 minutes or so, we'll talk a little bit more about logistics, like, hey, you know, how do you use the WhatsApp group, things like that. Okay, so it can be fairly interactive. I didn't really prepare a lot of content because I wanted to be tailored to, like, you know, what would benefit, you know, the group the most. Okay. And the first story I want to share is a story about Golden Buddha. How many of you have heard about the story? Okay, great. So some of you don't know. All right. So the story basically broke in 1957. An entire monastery in Thailand was being relocated by a group of monks. One day, they were moving a giant clay Buddha when one of the monks actually noticed a large crack in the clay. So upon closer investigation, he saw that there was a golden light emanating from the crack. So the monk used tools to chip away at the clay exterior until he revealed that the statue was in fact made of solid gold. And historians believe that the Buddha had been covered with the clay by Thai monks several hundred years earlier to protect it from an attack by the Burmese army. And it wasn't until 1957 that this great treasure was actually discovered. So when I first, let me talk about why I want to share this story. When I first heard about this story, the moral of the story is that we are all Golden Buddha. We were born with gold. When we're kids, we probably don't need to do much, just breathing, we're loved, right? We don't have a sense of or question of, especially, am I worthy, right? We're worthy simply for being exist. And over time, we cover ourselves with mud and dirt, perhaps in order to protect ourselves, right? Especially when we say, oh, I have like past work issue, I have family issues, you know, like those are all things that we created, right? To protect us when we were kids, right? And over those years, we're covered with those mud and dirt. So we got disconnected. We forgot about who we really are. The pure gold underneath it. And when I heard the story, I actually bought a Buddha just right next to my desk to remind me. Because with that awareness, when, of course, when I'm like well and conscious, I'm like, oh, of course, I'm Golden Buddha. I can add so much values, right? And when I'm out of the connection with who I really am, then I'm like really down, right? And I would even encourage you to share the story with your loved ones or people you usually are more comfortable talking to, right? Because I will be sharing with my partner, like, oh my God, I have such a bad day today. That coaching session didn't go well. You know, I'm terrible as a coach. And she'll be like, hey, you're a Golden Buddha. And immediately I will be like bursting out laughing, laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, right? And I share this story because it is so fundamental to being confident, right? Like, if we don't love and value ourselves, that's when we start to seek external validations, right? And then that's how we give our power away to other people, right? So knowing that we always have that power, even if we're walking around with mud and dirt, we know down below is pure gold. We're all here, we exist. That means we're worthy. We don't have to do anything, even if other people don't give that to us. We are the one who give that to us. And that is when I think about my journey of, you know, being more and more confident, it's actually a journey of being more and more loving to myself. And that is why I want to share this story with you. Yeah, because I believe we all, each one of you, are worthy because you are here breathing. There is a purpose for you to being here. So believe that for yourself. And I know it will take time. I'm still like in the journey of doing that. But yeah, there is no best feeling than feeling worthy from the bottom of your heart toward yourself. Any questions, comments, strong emotions that you want to share?
definitely feel like that's totally what happened to me, you know, as a kid, and internalizing everything and getting that feedback from people I love and trust that that was a mistake. I shouldn't do that. So I started to like put that mud on and be like, don't do that again. So totally what happened to me. And I think it's just my personality and the perfectionism. And I would rather not do something at all if I fear I can't do it right.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Shiana. And I want to encourage you all to share more because there is something about speaking ourselves out loud because we have been, hiding a big part of ourselves, right? Wanting to be perfect for such a long time. So being able to speak about like what you're not the best at, what's your fears, right? Things like that. It actually minimized it. Yeah, so that's why I encourage you all to share. Okay. Anyone else want to share or ask questions? Okay. Okay.
I'm a Buddhist practitioner, so I definitely believe that everyone has Buddha nature. And at the same time, the setting, we call it the setting sun world, is constantly helping us to put that mud back on ourselves. And it's
Yeah.
it's a real challenge to be constantly working with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Shelly. And that is true. Right? Like I share in the talk, like I think that was last Thursday or 2 weeks ago. Anyways, your environment and surroundings, because we're all conditioned this way, right? It is uncomfortable for other people to see you as you when they themselves, right, are also being conditioned this way. Because it really forces us, right, to really examine who we really are, how we want to show up, right? But we'll probably talk a little bit more later about choices. The thing is, though, once we have greater awareness about what's the choice we're making right now, right? Before, our language probably, and me included, was that, oh, the environment did this to me, my parents did this to me, I have no control, right? But the truth is, you still choose to not show up. That is a choice, right? When you don't push back, right? When you have those fears and then you don't do what you do, it is a choice that you are making still, right? And having that awareness itself is actually really powerful because knowing that we choose to do nothing, we can ask ourselves, do I want to do something this time? How do I want to do it differently, right? Do I want to create my life or do I want to react to what's happening to me, right? So usually right now, if I hear the language, oh, something happened to me, I really start to think really deep about what if it is happening for me, right? Even say a just search, right? I got a number of rejections all the time, right? Interview, especially in this market, it's like, I will feel like, I think like mostly it's very easy to think that this is happening to me. But at the same time, if we shift the thinking to, okay, what's the gift here? Like what's happening for me, right? So it could be, okay, like I learned to get more feedback, right? I learned how to better articulate myself, I learned there are so many things that we can learn from everything that happened. So we can say, hey, these things happened to me, like the layoff that happened to me before. But I can shift it to, it is happening for me, right? What is here for me to learn? And that give me brand new energy to create something instead of reacting. And I know that's quite a lot. It's easy to say, harder to do. Yeah. So I'm gonna share the second story I have prepared for you. The second story is $9,000 lesson. So when I first started coaching full-time, the first year, I really didn't know what to do. I feel stressed, actually constant stress about finding the next client all the time. So I decided to invest $9,000 on a 12-week program. And that's actually all the income I have made since I went full-time. I'm like, okay, because the program basically promised me to revamp my LinkedIn presence with a proven system for people to start knocking on my door. I hesitated, but I say yes, because I want someone to remove my pain, right? And as you might imagine, it really did not deliver. So I was so disappointed. And I thought it's the worst investment I've made in my business, basically, like I said, my entire earning. So as I look deeper, I realized, like I said, like what's the lesson I can learn here to make it worthwhile? And then I see it, because when I made that investment, I was in a scarcity mindset. I didn't believe in myself. I was looking for shortcuts to take my pain away. And I hope someone outside of me, someone or some system, whatever, to save me from the uncertainty or from the anxiety that I was in. So of course it did not work. And now I'm like, thank God it didn't work. Because then I don't learn what I needed to learn, right? So one is, when I made that decision, it was a fear-based decision. And when I make that decision, it instantly makes me small. Even if it works, it will be, oh, it's something else that works, it's not me, right? And it teach me to not look for shortcut, but look for long haul, how I can really build deep relationship with people. And most importantly, how do I showing up as me in my own way of building that relationships? That's way more easier than follow what the experts say, right? And also know that I actually didn't follow it completely, because that's not me. So I'm different, and that is a good thing. So because of that, those like painful learnings, I start to make a different choice. So every time when I make decision now, I ask myself, am I making the decision from fear or from love? Because when I make decision from love, it goes around and come back to me multiplied. And when I ditch the rules that experts told me and actually lean on my intuition, how I want to connect to people, I'm way more impactful. And I stop looking for the next client, but really focus on what I enjoy doing and serving. And of course, it takes some time, but then because I show up authentically, my business thrive. So the key turning point there, though, is when that $9,000 lesson, what I really learned there is the acceptance that no one is here to save me. So I become the answer I'm looking for. I'm like, you better, get into action when and be yourself, right? So that's how I start to believe, wow, that $9,000 is actually the best investment for me to learn what doesn't work for me. And thank God it's not 90K, right? So it's actually pretty good because there are many people, I don't know, spend how long of their life to learn. They are the key. They are the answers, right, to whatever issue that they're looking at. And I'm sharing this with you because I don't know actually whatever expectations that you have walking into this workshop. But the key is you are the answer. You're the one that's going to save yourself. Okay. So that's the end of second story. Any questions, comments, pushbacks, or is just simply want to scream? That's fine.
So that really resonated with me because I had $1,500 lesson and it was exact same thing. And because I went into launching my new business, I have all kinds of expertise in recruitment, but I was afraid of the business development piece. And I came across this company, this business that promised that for so much money, we're going to do all your marketing. We're going to find leads. All you have to do is recruit. We'll get the leads. They'll be warm. You'll reach out to those leads and then you just need to close the business and recruit. And then, right, 3 months into it, $8,500 later, there was, I was teaching them about how linked algorithms work. I couldn't understand where these leads were coming from, and I realizing they were using an AI tool that was not $8,500. Right? For the first 3 months, and I was mortified, by the end of it. I knew more than they did. And it was the same thing. I had to walk away and say, how can I turn that $8,500 loss into an investment? And the reality is it did do two things for me. When I started out, I didn't know what my niche was going to be. By the time I was done, I knew what niche I was going to focus on. And you're right. It showed me that I had a lot more knowledge and expertise than I realized. I had more than they did. Right? So, but it was a fear, exactly what you said. It was a fear-based decision. I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be able to do the business development. Right? And I'm kind of paying for it now because it came out of my savings too. Like that was, 2 months of bare minimum income that I threw away. But at the time I saw it as throwing it away. Now I see it as I have to see it as an investment. And I know, future, it'll be a blip, but it still hurts. When I had to spend that much money to learn that lesson.
Well, so you make sure you learned, right? Now I can laugh about it because from that learning, I make 10 times more back or even more, right?
Yeah,
And that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but it was, yeah, I wish at the time I needed a mentor. I think anybody, you need a coach or a mentor. If I'd have had that in the first place, it probably would have helped
Yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
here. I hear you. Me too. Then I hire myself a coach and I put myself in group coaching programs. I'm like, hey, that's, get into actions, right? To learn all the things I need to learn to become good at what I say I want to be, right? Thank you for sharing your experience. Awesome. Any other people want to share or have comments or questions? Okay.
I actually have
Mhm.
a question.
Yes.
I missed most of the story, unfortunately, but just kind of reflecting on the end of it
Mhm.
and what Sheena, I believe, just said, is that what about that sort of barrier where it's like, oh, I can do this myself, but do you really have the capacity to, It's like you decided to outsource some of this work in your new business because, most likely you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed and you have a lot of things to do, and
Yeah.
outsourcing some things is kind of in some situations the only way to make things work. But then of course, you don't want to sort of do that to a unfit outlet, or it takes time even to decide how to make that work.
Yeah.
So, in situations where in some ways like you need that outside help,
Mhm.
what can you do to try to not just realize, hey, I could be good at this and I can do this myself, but actually,
Yeah.
keep the amount of things on your plate that are doable.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I feel like first of all, I would like when I do something, especially like something new, like I always, ask for help, right? Especially with people who have been there, done that, they can either be my mentor, be my coach, or be just a friend who have done it, who is willing to share, right? So I don't have to like work everything through myself. So I feel like not doing things alone is important, even when you try to scale yourself, right? What are the areas that you can look at and examine? Like, for example, like in terms of or I should say, like, what's your core competency, right? When you're building a business, what's the thing that's so essential that you do want to acquire that skill set versus what's the thing that's really, you are terrible at and you probably want to find some other people to help you with, right? Like I will always want to examine where am I falling short, right? Is this something that when I master, that would be, 10x my business? Or will this something be like that's really not in my zone of genius, right? I'd rather partner with other people, right? But once you make that like that query, I think it actually helps people to think about, am I outsourcing it because I, fear of like judge myself or fear like I'm not going to be good at it, so I want to outsource it? Or, oh, I rather spend most of my time on something that I truly want to create, right? So there is a distinction here. And when you come from that space, like, okay, I want to focus on this, but for this other piece, I want to make sure I find people who are aligned with, who know my story, who align with my values, who I really am. And then from that space, you can start to explore, right? But I would always say, like, always do things that require at least once to kind of get a better understanding of, like, okay, what's there? What's the gaps? Are they skill set gap that would make me better in my role, in my company, etc., or not? right? Things like that. And then you continue to talk to people like, hey, I realized, oh, I have this gap in my business, and I really hope I can look for somebody. Do you have a recommendation? Right. So kind of going that route, then, oh, I wish someone take my pen off, or take, whatever. I really don't want to do off. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm going to reiterate that too. I outsource, as I said, the business development piece. Not only I was afraid to do it.
Mhm.
Like, I was afraid I wasn't going to be good enough at it. I was afraid that I didn't know enough about how to do it. That decision to outsource it with that particular company was made quickly. I felt like that they were solving a problem that I didn't want to face, which is a lot different than I
Mhm.
want to outsource this piece of what I'm doing because it's redundant, it's mundane, it takes a lot of my time, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it anymore, but you've been doing it, you know who you're going to need.
Mm.
If you're doing it because you've tried and or you're outsourcing it because you're fearful of approaching it, or when you do it, you feel a lot of fear in doing it, it's probably not the right time to outsource it. That's the
Mhm.
time to get a mentor or a coach
Mm.
first.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Great question. So I'm gonna move on to my third and last story. And then after that, we can have a little bit open forum for whoever want to be coach one. I think we have like half hour. Okay. So remember I asked you in the beginning, like, when do you feel you're most confident versus when you feel like you're least confident? And we have this workshop entirely because when I ask people, like, what's that one thing that's preventing you from leading, right? And like, I see like 70% of people who in the comments say confidence. I don't have enough confidence to do X, Y, and Z, right? So let me tell you my journey of becoming a public speaker. And when I think about being a public speaker, I'm like, okay, I gotta start somewhere, and I need to know why it is important to me, right? Because I learned that from all our past stories. I learned that, okay, I'm valuable. My stories are valuable, right? And I need to be the one that's speaking it out loud so it can impact people, right? And that's important to me because that's my learned lessons. I hope I can help people know they're not alone, right? And there are other possibilities. So then I set out the goal, I would say like early last year, to be a public speaker. So I found my first podcast to be a guest on. And the first one, when I applied, I'm like, am I even qualified? That one was for like woman entrepreneur, some sort of podcast. And like, yeah, I'm a founder. Am I a woman entrepreneur? Yeah, I was so unsure, but I'm like, okay, I gotta take that first step. So I recorded it. And then second podcast, after the interview, I got the recording before it was released to the wild, and I was asked, hey, let me know, what do you want to modify? And when I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, can we just re-record everything? And like, I can hear all my like filler words, my accents, everything that I doubt about myself. I feel like it get amplified in that message, right? But I decided, okay, I'm not gonna change it, because this is not the first time me doing something like this, but I always want to know, I guess, even if I start badly, I start somewhere, right? So, okay, I just say, okay, go release it, until I feel like maybe like 8th or 9th podcast interviews. I wasn't even prepared for it, and I enjoy fully. And I was like, oh, I can even help the host to kind of like come up with a lot more like deeper insights and conversation that's truly enjoyable, right? So after that, I was like, okay, I'm golden. Then I signed myself up for my first speaking event, and it was virtual. And what's even better is a pre-recorded video where they will play it on the day of the conference, so I can actually just be there and, you know, answer people's message. What could go wrong, right? So I recorded it first time, send it out, and I even invite some of my friends to that conference. And then I heard it myself. It's a 20 minutes talk. By like minutes 10, I was like, oh my God, my voice is like very calm. There's no ups and downs, and there's no much emotions, because I was just like, oh, okay, let me just get this recording done, right? So in a way, like even I bore myself out. It was so bad, and like I feel almost like I wish I didn't invite some of those friends. And then after that, I applied to speak in person. And I prepared the talk, actually memorized the whole thing because we're not allowed to use slide. And when I went up, it was great. And when I just felt like, okay, I kind of got into it, I got kicked off the stage because I ran overtime. But I at least got like, 80% of what I want to say down, and that's a learn process, right? And of course, many more later, I show up at the Elevate conference, where maybe some of you have seen that talk. And I was still nervous, even prior to the beginning of my session. But again, like I step back into, why am I showing up? Why do I even want to do this, right? To center myself and really like prepared it in a way so I know what are the new things I want to try, like how I want to show up, how I want to, really engage with people. And of course, then more importantly, I learned to speak with passion, right? So people can kind of like feel me. So every time I try something different to make me a better public speaker. And I'm sharing this with you because if you think about when you feel the most confident, or when you will acquire that confidence that you think you need before you can do anything, we all got it backward. Confidence is a result. It's not a prerequisite. Confidence is the result of you doing something that's unfamiliar to you. The more you do it, the more you feel comfortable, and the more you build up that confidence. And that's what this is all about. This confidence workshop. I'm like, you gotta do it. So take actions. It's not a prerequisite, it's a result. And it still feels scared every time you do something, like we said, like we don't like unknown, right? But if you were to think about it, if you do the things day out and day in, that's so familiar that you can do it with your closed eyes, how boring is that? Then we start to think, oh, I don't grow, right? And then we look for something else, right? And that's human. Like unknown also excites us. So oftentimes I would look at, what am I really fearful for? Because oftentimes behind that fears are also desires, right? So like for me, I have this fear of public speaking, right? And even like initially fear of being hurt, right? But truthfully, like I also have this strong desire to be really heard and seen, and to provide any values I can add. Right? So lean into your desire and notice the fear is okay. Do it anyways. Okay, so that's the end of my story. Anyone want to share anything, comments, or even like being coached on? Like what's the thing that you feel like that's holding you back? Now we're open, although we don't have that much time, but
I wanted to share that just like your podcast and recording, when I've been interviewing for jobs, one of them was to record myself. And the first time I had to do that, I spent 4 hours recording myself. And I was like, because I redid it countless times because filler words, I kept tilting my head. I mean, everything imaginable. And eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just submitted it. But and I realized like next time I get one of those, I cannot spend 4 hours on it again. So I think that's one thing I'm trying to be more confident on is the good enough aspect. Is it good enough? When do I need to spend 4 hours on something, and when can I spend, 40 minutes? So that's something I've been trying to get better with as I'm interviewing and applying for jobs.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
So I just wanted to comment on that last story. I think one of the things that I've been struggling with is that I do tend to be a person be scared and do it anyway. But knowing that that's not going to be everything in my life. And it feels like recently I have had so many different situations where everything feels like be scared and do it anyway. And so there is not necessarily much in my experience right now where I feel like I've already got the practice down. And so how do you balance that, and how do you find and maintain the things that you have built confidence in already when you are faced with so many things that are, asking you to build your confidence?
I feel like sorry, because your voice was a little bit in and out for me, especially in the beginning. Can you ask your question again? It's okay without the context.
Yeah. So how do you balance when it feels like everything is you're scared and you're trying to do it anyway, with not burning out on that? Essentially.
Oh yeah. Okay. Actually, great question, right? We want to get to the things that stretch us but not break us, right? And the key there is if you have multiple dimensions of things that you feel like, oh, this is just like too overwhelmingly difficult, right? And when that happened, it's very easy to get paralyzed, right? Like you said, like, where do I even begin, right? And in a way, I would say, choose one. If you can choose one area that you think that's most important and kind of focus on that, and even like find a way to get a sense of, oh, am I progressing or improving in this area, and kind of focus on that. I think that will kind of calm your system down a little bit. Then, oh my God, I need to get good at everything, right? And I think especially like let's take the interview as an example, right? I'm a software engineer, so when I interview, there are behavior questions, there are technical questions, there are so many system design, there are so many things I need to get good at, right? But when I think about what I want to improve on, I focus on one thing at a time. and at that space, I just focus on that one thing. And of course, do it this way, you might feel like, oh my God, it's gonna drag on so long, things like that. But that's a learn process you get to go through, and you have to go through in a way to get you really ready, right? To be good at, everything that you say you need, right? To play that role. Yeah. Does that, any follow-up? Like, okay, what comes up for you when I share that?
Sort of the feeling of like not having enough time
Mhm.
to do that,
Yeah.
with knowing that we live in a world where, yes, I know it's up to me. No one is going to save me. I need to save myself. But at the same time, we're reliant on people to pay us, to provide us benefits,
Mm-hmm.
So there's like that pull of, no, you need to do this faster because, the clock is ticking but also you can only push yourself so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course you can get help, right? To see how you can so-called like speed things up. But the thing is, I find that tend to, well, of course, like I said, don't do it alone, right? Don't try out and error everything, right? Always get help in that specific things that you're trying to improve. And on the other hand, if you're not ready, you're not ready. Even if you get all the help you can, you still need to go through your own process. Even if you rush and urge and really like try to get yourself to speed up, if you are not there, you're not there. That's not, and sometimes I feel like having that understanding of, okay, I'll get there when I'm ready, and the rest is learning process. That oftentimes I feel like really slow myself down, but it's in my thinking, in my anxiety, and it actually end up speed the progress that I want to make, because I'm not busy carrying like 5 thoughts at the same time, thinking that I'm improving them, but actually I'm not making progress at all. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, we have 14 minutes. Does anyone want to be coached? Do you have like questions or something that you feel like that's currently blocking you? Maybe we can use like 8 minutes or so coaching before we get to the logistics.
I actually don't know how coaching works or what it looks like. If there's any, I'm excited to see a volunteer get coached right now, because I don't really have a good framework for what it is in reality.
Yeah. Great question. I would say, because like the question I asked everyone earlier is that, there are many things that I feel like we can coach down. Like one, I ask, when do you feel the least confident, right? And we can actually go there, right? Oh, how do I, make myself feel better or okay or whatever, right? Or like I also ask, what is it that you want the most, right? And we can go there too, right? Why do you don't have what you have yet? Or what can we do? What's that one step, we can take to get closer to what you say you want right now? So those are like very great example or questions that we can coach down.
I know for me, I'm having a lot of trouble reaching out to people for networking, even if I know them or I worked with them 10 years ago, and I'm always like, they're not going to remember me. They're not
Mhm.
gonna have time. They're not gonna care. I'll give myself every excuse not
Mm,
do it because I just feel like I don't know, it's not worth their time.
okay. Not
So
worth their
that's
time.
what I'm struggling with is
Okay.
reaching out and networking, even to people that are in my, LinkedIn
Yeah.
network.
Yeah. Even if they know you already, right? And
And what
work
does
with
know
you.
me mean? I'm just like, yeah, again,
Okay.
like 15 years
Okay.
ago, I worked with them, and it's like,
Okay. Yeah.
why would they care about me?
Mm, 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 mm. I love this topic of networking
Mhm.
because I think most among us are introverts, and networking plays such a big role right now, right? Doesn't matter job searching, starting new business or whatever, right? We do want to learn how to network better, right? So I love this topic. So let me ask you, Gianna, are you reaching out to people right now?
Um, I'm trying to, but I'm not doing it enough, I don't think, because there was just a job I didn't get, and someone said, "Did you reach out to the hiring manager again?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, because I said if she really wanted me to have the job, she would have hired me. Or it's always like I kind of tell myself it's up to
Mm-hmm.
them, like not
Mm-hmm.
up to me or something. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I don't want to be seen as a bother or annoying or
Mm-hmm.
like imposing on somebody. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have anybody feel like that at all.
Mm-hmm. How do you know if people are bothered by you, by the fact that you reach out?
I don't know, maybe because I'm an introvert and I don't want people reaching out to me. So so that's the problem
Mm-hmm.
is I'm kind of treating
Yeah.
everybody like how I feel.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what else to do. So I don't know if if I don't get a response, or maybe I'm just like, they might feel like they have to respond, but they really don't want to, because that's how
Mm,
I feel as an introvert.
mm,
So, and I don't
mm,
know what to say.
mm,
All those
mm.
things.
I hear you. So essentially what you're saying is you don't know. You have no proof that people are annoyed by you.
No.
Yeah.
I've had people not respond, and that's normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not networking enough, because if I say
Yeah.
no to people when they say, "Did you reach out?" and then I'm like, well, then obviously
Mm.
I should have reached out to that
Okay.
person.
Okay. So do you have times when people reach out to you and you didn't respond even if you want to?
Oh, I'm sure, things get
Mm-hmm.
lost in the shuffle, or it was just a bad day, bad time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's the time we're at.
Yeah.
You know, 5 minutes after I open the email, oh my God,
Mhm.
I need to respond to that person. And then 5 minutes later, I just forget about it. It happened to me all the time. Right. So I love your honesty, and I was there, right, as a solopreneur, especially when I do service-based kind of like business, right? I do need to reach out to people. So similarly, like I have to overcome all those things that I thought that others will be bothered by me, right? So, okay, I think I have time to share another quick story with you. So I was reaching out to people. I was working on a research project where I interview other like very high level woman engineering leader. So this time I should reach out to a CTO, the Asian woman CTO, the first one, the highest title that I get connected with. So I was so excited. I'm like, hey, we belong to the same community. Let's chat. And she was like, set out to begin with, she was like, oh yeah, happy to meet. And then she just got radio silent. And I keep following up, no response, right? I'm like, oh my God, like the CTO CTO must be busy, who am I to think that she will have time for me? But I keep following up because I think like having her insight is important for me to understand in my research project, right? How immigrant woman leader reached the top. So I keep following up anyways. And then finally the meeting time come, she was late for 10 minutes. So we only have like 15 minutes of time for me to do my interview, right? So I was happy I get to talk to her, but I was also resentful. I was like, come on, like my time isn't my time, as valuable as yours. I see that as a disrespect for like to my time, right? And months later, when I was in a meeting, a conversation where we actually talk about the beginning of like waves of layoffs in the tech industry. And then she shared that was the most difficult time in her profession because she had to lay off people and her company worked with union. So she had to apply to union's law internationally. She needs to learn that and make sure she doesn't get sued. So that was the time when I interviewed her. And as soon as I understand that, I was like, oh my God, why do I think it's me? Where I probably was the last thing on her mind when she was dealing with all the, shitty things that she needs to do. And that's the turning point for me to know that, okay, it's really not about me, right? So what comes up when I share that with you?
I understand and know all that, it's like mind over matter. And then of course I have more excuses, like what am I going to say? So like I know I keep being pushed to reach out to somebody, the CHRO of a company that I haven't been hired at after many applications, but I'm like, what am I going to say? I so
yeah.
So my job coach was like, just ask for 15 minutes of time, but I just want to crawl up into a ball when I think about that. So
then I would say very directly and truthfully, and it might hurt. That means you don't want it enough.
Probably not. Not confident either. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot, everything's complicated. So
yeah. It's complicated because we make it so. Right? But it all goes down to if I commit enough, if I want something enough, I'm going to roll up my sleeve and do shit to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And if even if you don't want it enough, that's fine. Just understand it and don't beat yourself up for it because you don't want it enough, right? Always get that clarity in yourself. It's actually very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple to get a clean understanding of why you do certain things versus not, right? And that's really about stop lying to yourself.
Yeah.
And say you want it versus what you really want is you're committed to be more comfortable than having a job.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, right? And if I really don't want to do something, then I need to be okay with that choice. And if I really want to do something and get better, then I need to do something about it. So it is very simple when, like you said, the concepts are simple. Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Sometimes we just need to be poked like that. Me too. Because what I said to you, stop lying to yourself. You don't really want it. That was the inquiry that's been sitting with me when my own coach say that. So I know. But the good news is once we are honest with ourselves. What else are we committed to more? When we stop lying to ourselves, that's the beginning of, one, not shame ourselves, forgive ourselves, and then choose what I want to do now. I can drop it and say, okay, I'd rather be comfortable, fine. I'm not ready to get out of my shell yet. That's okay, right? Or, okay, I see that's an excuse. I really, really, really want to get a job. And here's, all the why that's important to me. Then I do it. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for, being brave and share so openly. Okay, so logistics. I know I've seen some of you have joined the WhatsApp group. If you have not, I just pasted in the chat. Please join. And when you join, introduce yourself, because I only see a bunch of phone numbers. So I actually don't know who's who. So share who you are. And for those who are late or listening, if you have not shared your name, when you feel most comfortable, when you feel least comfortable, and what do you want the most right now, please also share it in the group chat. And like I said, I like a group setting, and leading up to right now, I think you already know, it's all about taking that actions such that you will have confidence as a result. So every day I'm gonna share something, some sort of prompt to stimulate your thinking and awareness of your own choices. And I want you to share every day what's the action you're taking, what's the doubts that you're having right now, right? I want that WhatsApp to be an open and safe and brave space for us to get out of our own shell, to cheer for each other, to know that we're not alone in this process of, gaining more confidence by taking actions. And from time to time, if you have like questions, feel free to like drop it in the chat. And when I have time, I can respond or get to it, things like that. But basically, I want that WhatsApp to be a supportive group where when you have doubt, that's your go-to place. Or when you have something to celebrate, you finally, oh my God, write that email to your hiring manager or to your connections, or you fail your job interview miserably, but you learn this one thing that will make your future interviews better. All that, share with the group. Any questions there? Okay. Are you all excited? Okay. You have questions?
Thank you, Wen. I really
No problem.
appreciate this. Was really great. You just made me feel like there are other people made almost identical mistakes as I have, and I really appreciate that.
No problem. My pleasure. Okay, so we'll meet again in about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 21 days is a perfect time to build new habit. New habit of strengthen your muscle of building your confidence. Okay, copy and paste intro prompt again. Yeah, I will do that also in the app. So join the WhatsApp chat, and then I will paste it there. Okay, and also what you can share, or what I encourage you to share in the group. So that would be easier for everyone to reference. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, let's get into action. I will, I will see you there on the chat. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
No problem.